Marketing Machine Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Nizer. Today, I'm going to show you how you can use the average order value, or AOV, to plan your marketing. Before we dig into it, though, if this is your first episode that you're listening to me, appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. Really thankful to have you. Super excited. If you have not yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite listening platform. Like I said, today I'm going to be sharing with you how you can use average order value, AOV, to know exactly what sources are worth to spend a lot more time in, to be able to pour some marketing dollars into, or maybe ease back off so you can see what areas are actually driving tickets or not. Last episode, we talked about the impact of average order value and actually what average order value is. Average order value is what a specific ticket buyer is worth to you. This also helps you from a budget optimization perspective and understanding the effectiveness of your marketing beyond return on investment, impact of promotions, and then also gives you the opportunity to personalize fan experience using zip codes and the AOV, average order value. So let's start for an example that your goal is $250,000 in single game ticket revenue. The first question you're going to ask is, well, how on earth am I going to get there? The simplest way is you divide 250,000 divide by the total number of games. And this will say, hey, I need to get X amount of revenue per game. This won't tell you how many tickets you need to sell, but it will give you an understanding of, hey, if I sold X amount of revenue per game, this is how I'm going to get to 250,000. You really need to know, though, how many tickets you need to sell, which means how many ticket buyers you need to go out and find. So average order value gives you so much more information rather than just dividing the amount that your goal is, in this case 250,000, by the number of games. So the first thing you need to do before you start putting numbers into the average order value calculator on my website is you need to track ticket sales by sources through your ticketing software. This is so important. Not many people do this. Not many teams that I've seen actually do this really well. This is the most important step, because if you can track ticket sales from your email marketing, your social media channels, and your texting, you will know exactly what source drove the highest revenue and the highest order value so that you can allocate dollars appropriately. Let's go through an example so I can show you how impactful this is. Let's say your goal is $250,000 and you know your average order value is $42.10 and 3 tickets per order. I'm trying not to throw a lot of numbers at you. One of your marketing platforms, Awareity. Let's say you use Awareity and you're getting 3-to-1 and you know your average order value revenue on average per month is $49.29. Well, that's higher than your average that you have across the board, which is $42. So if that's $49, you might be able to put a little bit more money towards this, knowing that you're going to get $49. But once you start dipping, that's when you know you're at diminishing returns. So if you consistently are putting up $49 average order value every single month, running paid ads, and you can see it and track it through, and you know you're higher than what your average is across the board, hey, keep doing more of that. But when you start increasing it or scaling it up, you say, hey, I want to put a little bit more money in there, and it starts dipping down. That's when you know your point is right there. Here's another one. Let's take a look at your email revenue. Let's just say you take a look at your email revenue and you know that you sold, 1,200 tickets during the year. You made $17,000 in revenue. I'm just making up numbers. But most importantly, you know your average order value is $42.55. But across the board, it's $42.10. You know you're making pretty good money using your email, actually more than it is across the board. And then from there, you can actually figure out how much revenue you make per email. That tells you, hey, I need to go out and collect X amount of more email addresses because that's going to help me get to my goal, knowing that on average, when I send out an email and people buy tickets, on average, they buy $42.55 in ticket revenue, and maybe they buy 3.2 tickets through email. But knowing how much that is, you know your ROI on your email marketing, but now you know your revenue per email that you send out, and also how much your email is actually worth to you. Here's another one for you. Let's just say you post on Facebook and Instagram or even Twitter or X or whatever they're called this month. You know you've sold maybe 100 tickets on Facebook and 200 on Instagram. When you run the numbers out, how many buyers did you have on Instagram and how many buyers did you have on Facebook? If you run it out, you might see that maybe Instagram doesn't have as high of an average order value of what your normal amount is. So that $42.10, let's just say it was $38.30. So you're a little bit below. So how often should you be posting on Instagram about buying tickets? You still should, but know that if you're going to run paid media, maybe it makes sense to run it more on Facebook than Instagram because you know that you're making more money on Facebook on average order values than you do on Instagram. Let's go back to the Facebook example. Let's just say you make $45 average order value on Facebook. That's $3 higher than your across the board number. When you do that, you know that, hey, maybe I can post a couple more times in there about buying tickets. And maybe you test it a little bit. Hey, I've posted 13 times this month instead of 10 times, and your average order value may goes up and go down, but you got to find that sweet spot. Same thing with your advertising. Once you find that sweet spot, your marketing for tickets becomes like a machine. That's why I call this podcast and my website, my entire company, Sports Marketing Machine, because you're using data to make decisions, and you put money in, you get money out, and you know exactly what's going to happen when you do that. And you don't have to think so hard about, oh, I got to do this, I got to do this. No, you already know what's going to happen because you're following the principles of average order value and you know exactly what it is from each source. But the most important thing is you need to be able to have your ticketing software track it by source. Because if you can't track by source, you can't figure out average order values on all of these platforms. All right, at the end of each episode, I give you 3 takeaways. These are the main points that you would need from this episode to help you sell more tickets and grow your fan base. Number 1, you have to work with your ticketing software. I know tickets.com can do this, and Vazi can help you with this as well, and Fivo and some of these other platforms, they can help you track ticket sales, but you really need to have that through your ticketing software. Tickets.com is great. If you do not have tickets.com, reach out to your ticketing software about tracking ticket sales from sources so you know exactly how much revenue each source is making for you. Second, use my average order value calculator on my website, sportsmarketingmachine.com. Put in your ticket buyers, put in your revenue, put in your total number of tickets, and that'll spit out a average order value number for you, and you'll know exactly what it is per source and across the board for all of what you do, all of your ticket sales. You would be able to do that. And the third main takeaway is really understand the impact of your email marketing. Your email is your highest ROI tool that you have. If you can figure out exactly the revenue per every single email that you collect using the average order value calculator and some of your data, you can be able to go to your team and say, hey, I have to collect 3,000 more email addresses this offseason or 8,000, and you could predictably tell your general manager, your VP of sales, your ticket sales director, your external relation, whomever it is that's providing you your goal, you can be able to tell them, hey, when I collect X amount of emails, it's worth Y. When this is all predictable, your job becomes very easy. If you started your marketing planning or you just need a little bit more assistance to understand some of this data and actually craft direction on how to be able to take data and turn it into ticket sales, head over to sportsmarketingmachine.com, click schedule a call. I help educate and develop marketing directors so that they can grow your fan base and sell more tickets. Having been working in sports for 21 years as a marketing director, I know exactly what a lot of you are going through, and I've helped teams just like yours create a clear path and use data to sell more tickets. Until next time.